Please stand. Thank you, Elizabeth and Gabe for leading us in our song. Again, our bylaws require that we establish a quorum. Could I please have all Adams State alumni please stand? Is Holly here? Okay. Madam Secretary Holly Felmy, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mr. President. We have.
Thank you. A quorum has been established. I would also like to share the mission statement of the Alumni Association. The mission of the Adams State University Alumni Association Board of Directors is to reach out to current alumni, future alumni, and the community in order to cultivate loyalty, pride, and commitment to Adams State University. If there is no other business, we will continue on with our banquet. I have a few introductions to make. At the head of table this evening, we have Adams State University President, Dr. Svaldi, Dr. David Svaldi and his wife, Virginia Svaldi. I'd like to thank Dr. Svaldi for his support of the Alumni Association and all he does for us. Also, award winner Rob Oringdulph and his wife Susan. Also, award winner James Matthie. On the other side of the table, my wife Mindy Russell. Award winner Elizabeth Ford with her mother Cindy Ford. And the Director of Alumni Relations, Lori Laske. Would also like to point out a few others in the room. If you could just please raise your hand. The program coordinator, Gayleen Horning. I appreciate Gayleen and the time and the effort that she puts into helping the alumni. She does such a great job. Also, Tammy Lopez. She's the executive director of the foundation. Also, does a wonderful job in helping coordinate this and getting everything going. James Trujillo, executive assistant of the president, to the president. Julie Wechter, assistant to the president and editor to the A-Stater. Linda Rollier, assistant director of communications. And she also helps on the A-Stater. Also, the Adams State University Foundation Board members, if you could please stand. Dwayne Bussey, President. Russell Locketts. Bill Hedinger. Jenny Jack. Randy Jackson. Chuck Owsley. Rich Skenga. Now the Alumni Association board members, if you could all please stand and then we'll clap for them at the very end. Myself, I guess I'm already standing, Kasey Russell. Liz Tabling Garcia, Vice President. Holly Felmy, Secretary. Lynn Michelke. Rob Oringdulph. And Richard Skenga. And Delzia Worley. Also, past, outstanding, and exceptional alumni award winners, if you could please stand. Carlos Lucero. Dwayne Bussey. Bill Waters. He's not here. Sorry about that. And Dale Hedinger. And Randy and Micah Jackson. Also, I would like to recognize the past presidents, Dr. Gilmore and Dr. Balkerson. Okay, I believe that concludes our introductions for now. If you may go ahead and eat, if you haven't already, and please enjoy your meal. First of all, we'd like to give Sodexo a great thanks for the wonderful food. Appreciate the food and how delicious it was. So thank you very much. Also, I have a few corrections to make. I failed to mention the presence of Charlotte Bobiski. If she could stand. And I also I messed up on Elizabeth's mother's name. I called her Cindy, and it should be Cheryl. So I apologize for that. We're gonna have to have Tony come back and do this for next year. He's the pro at this. So all in favor of Tony next year, we'll vote on it. So. Just the special. We'll go ahead and go through the special recognition of the reunion groups. We'd like to recognize these following reunion groups, and if they could please stand and continue to stand until I announce everybody, and then we'll try to clap for them after that. But that usually doesn't work, so I'll start announcing them, and if they could all please stand as I mention them. The class of 1952. Nope. One clap for that one. That was good. 1957. The class of 1962. And we'd like to give a special thanks to the Honorable Carlos Lucero and his wife Dorothy. They had a great help in getting this class together, and a very large group here tonight. Thank you both. Class of 1967, 1972. 1977, 1982, 1987, 1995, 1997, 2002, and 2007. Now I'd like to introduce to everybody President of Adams State University, Dr. Svaldi.
Good evening. How are all of you? It's so great to have you all here. And I would, in absentia, also recognize the 1966-1967 football team that went to the Mineral Bowl, I believe 2 years in a row, that Virginia and I had the great pleasure of visiting with last week out on the East Coast. And I know many of them wish they were here, and especially Don Cockcroft, who some of you may know, sends his best regards to all of you. And I'm happy to announce he will be our graduation speaker a year from this spring. But welcome home. It's now 79 years since we started the homecoming tradition at Adams State. I think it's important to realize that this is one of those ceremonies that brings the past, the present, and the future together, and we can all enjoy all of those things that we have in common. So it's so nice to have you all here. I think it's also important to remember some of the folks who aren't with us any longer, and especially to recognize alums who are perhaps serving in harm's way, or alums that have families serving in harm's way. I'm especially thinking of couple of alums that aren't with us anymore, Marv Motes and Glenn Bean. But even though they're not here physically, I know that they're here in spirit. Just two great guys and two former awardees of the Billy Adams Award. I'd also like to recognize again people I feel a close kinship with. Dr. Bill Fulkerson, past president of Adams State College, as he remembers it. Dr. Fulkerson. It's just really great to have you back on campus with us. And of course, Tom Gilmore and Pat. And Tom always gets the blame because he's the one who had the idea to hire me as academic vice president. So whenever people complain about me, I say, blame Tom. So. Just a quick update on how we're doing at Adams State. Our enrollment is strong again. It's the second highest enrollment that we have on record. It's not quite as high as last year's, but it's darn close. I think 6 students less than what we had this time last year. And we have an absolute record number of graduate students. That's just an area of our campus that's really not on campus because they're mostly online. That's just growing because of a lot of hard work of some really good professors. Our dorms are crowded. We have about 325 additional students than what we had here 4 years ago. If you walked around campus, some of you might have got a little lost because it looks a little different than it used to. The new stadium and the residences at Rex are complete. I've also learned over the years that you can never have enough parking, and we have a number of new parking lots, but people still complain about that, as well as the number of meetings that we have to have. We have a new lacrosse and softball fields that are open. Immediately north of those is a new baseball field that's nearing construction, and yes, our baseball team will start playing again this spring. We've renovated wings A and D of Coronado Hall, and both sides of Gerald Hall don't resemble anything like any you might remember them if you happen to live there when you were here. And if you have time at all, I really urge you to take a tour of the building formerly known as the Education and Social Studies building, now known as McDaniel Hall in honor of Dr. John McDaniel, or Dr. John. I still get lost now. It's because it's so much different. That interior of the building is so much different. Our music building, the home for our wonderful music faculty, has been remodeled and is just a great state-of-the-art facility. Our campus green, just outside the door, is complete. It ties our campus together now. Our buildings are not islands amid streets any longer. We're one campus, and I think it's really helped draw us together in that regard. First floor of the library has been remodeled. We brought together all of our student support services under one roof. And we also have some work going on in Porter Hall, which is the result of a Title V grant, a grant for STEM grants. That's science, technology, engineering, and math that we received from the federal government. A third floor addition that will provide space for undergraduate research as well as a space for our students to gather, to be mentored and to be tutored. Additionally, the planetarium has been completely remodeled, and if you get a chance, if you're local, please go to one of the free shows. I think there were 2 today. You won't believe that facility and the experience you will now have. We've gone from a 19th century vacuum tube facility to absolutely state-of-the-art 21st century facility. We have a new restaurant, Vistas, that's open in the stadium, which is open every day for business, I believe, 8 to 5. I think that's true. And the old Evans School, which some of you may remember, you might even have gone to school there, is now Adams State East. First floor of that facility is being remodeled. It will be a new home for our Human Performance and Physical Education Department. We will use additional space in that building for more offices and classrooms since we're currently at our capacity. And yes, I know that some of you may have mixed feelings about this. We are now Adams State University, as I told you about last year. We thought it was important to do this, to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, to keep up with Colorado Mesa University, Metropolitan State University, and perhaps even more confusing, Western State Colorado University. Western State Colorado University. I don't get it either, but that's their new name. We will, in the near future, remodel the 2 remaining wings of Coronado Hall and are going to construct a new high-altitude training center, or a covered track, a 300-meter track immediately north of the current field house. Enough about construction. I think that one of the new programs we're very, very excited about, and we will actually have the Lieutenant Governor here a week from this Monday, Lieutenant Governor Garcia, to talk about our new partnership with the Betcher Foundation, the new Betcher Teachers Program for the San Luis Valley. There's been such a program on the Front Range for 10 years, and now we're so glad to be partnering with that great group of individuals, as well as the Public Education and Business Coalition, to bring a residential teacher training program to the San Luis Valley. It's a master's level program. It will be highly competitive, but it will provide a real guarantee for training in those hard to keep filled positions like math and science and music in our Valley schools. And we expect that program to be up and running a year from this fall. It's really a great time, an exciting time to be here at Adams State. And it's only great because we have great people who work here, great faculty, just all across this wonderful campus. And we've already recognized the folks in the foundation and the alumni office, but Lori, Tammy, and Gayleen do the work of 6 people, literally. And they always make this event special. And I'm so glad and happy to have those folks to work with. So we think we're turning Adams into a university where students will want to come and stay and graduate. And we certainly hope it will be a place that you'll want to come and visit us many times over. So welcome back. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Dr. Svaldi, for the information and what great changes there are coming for Adams State. Now it's time to introduce our award winners. I would like to ask Dr. Tracy Doyle, the chair of the music department, to share with us a little bit about our 2012 exceptional new alumna, Elizabeth Ford. Dr. Doyle.
Good evening. I am so very, very honored to be here tonight to introduce Ms. Elizabeth Ford. Elizabeth earned her Bachelor of Arts in Music Education with an emphasis in choral back in 2008. And before she graduated, she studied voice with Dr. Christine Kaitis, music theory with Dr. Schultz, and I had the great pleasure of being her music education professor. Now Elizabeth is an elementary school music teacher. There's something inherently special about being an elementary school music teacher, especially one like Elizabeth. When you think about it, the elementary school music teacher will work with kids, in Elizabeth's case, from pre-K through 5th grade. Every single year, they have contact with her. So she builds a relationship with them over time. She works with them through all the developmental levels that people go through during those years. And in particular, in building this relationship, she creates an environment of trust and safety. And she does this relationship building through the language of music, which is also an inherently special way to build relationships. So think about it. The safe environment that she teaches in. These kids learn creativity, they learn how to improvise, and they learn how to feel. And think about those three qualities in all of our lives and how important that is to become a successful adult. Now think about that relationship with one child. Multiply that by the 580 kids she influences every single year that grow up and become adults who've had that opportunity. It's exponential, and it's mass production at its finest. And so, to quote one of my favorite music educators, she helps to create human beings who grow into adults who are tuneful, beatful, and artful. And in other words, can sing a lullaby to their baby, dance a waltz at their wedding, and can find beauty in the world they live in. That is the job that Miss Elizabeth Ford does. And it is my honor to introduce her this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Doyle. Elizabeth Ford, would you please approach the podium? And Elizabeth, it's my pleasure to present this plaque to you as the 2012 Exceptional New Alumna. Appreciate that.
Today I got a very cool privilege, and I got to talk to the current music education students. And I went to sit down to write my speech and my whole talk, and I realized I really want to impress my professors. And then I went, wait, I'm supposed to be talking to the students. The professors at this school were absolutely people who touched my heart and changed my life, and getting to be recognized by them is just amazing. Get back on book. My nomination for this award came at a time in my career when it was particularly meaningful to me to be recognized for the things that I had worked so hard for by people who understood and believed in their value. I look up to the professors at this school, and I know that they are well aware of what it takes to be a good teacher. For this reason, when I received this award, I was not only honored, but deeply touched and encouraged. Sometimes the work music teachers do in their classroom is a mystery to the people around them who aren't specialized as music educators, so their work goes unrecognized. Therefore, this award has not only been an encouragement to me, but also to music educators who have heard about it. By recognizing my work, you are also recognizing theirs. I spoke to another teacher in my district who had tears in her eyes and said that she felt like she was receiving this award. I want to thank the faculty, administration, and staff and other members of Adams State University. I'd also like to thank Julie Wechter, who did a beautiful job on my article. Your dedication and service has set me on a course to be able to educate and inspire the next generation. I firmly believe that because of the investments you have made in me and your students, we will be able to inspire our students to reach up for music in the darkest and brightest moments of our lives. It is my highest hope to be able to inspire my students in the way that you have inspired me. I also want to thank the Alumni Association for believing in the value of music education and for recognizing my efforts. Thank you.
Thank you again, Elizabeth, and congratulations and continued success. Now for our next award, which is for the Outstanding Alumnus. This year we want to recognize Dr. James Matthie, class of 1978 and 79. And we'd like to ask Lori Laske if she would come forward and share with us a little bit about Dr. Matthie.
Thank you. I have to tell you, one of the very best things about being the alumni director at Adams State is the opportunity to go out and visit with all our successful alumni out there. And I want to share a story. We started our alumni program and started to do some outreach, and in 2006, we went out to Southern California. And I had the opportunity in the San Diego area to meet Dr. James Matthie. After listening to his story and finding out more about what our alumni are out there and what they're doing, it really assured me again how important these awards are and the opportunity to recognize some of the things. There are so many great stories out there. I wish we could do, 100 of these awards, but one at a time we will get through. And now I want to share with you a little bit. If you look in your program, we do have quite a bit of information about, and I'm going to call him Jim, because when I first was he introduced himself, he said, just call me Jim. You don't have to call me Dr. Matthie. So I want to share, if you look in the program, you will realize that Jim has had a very successful career in medical technology, a lot of different things. But I want to start that he was actually recruited to Adams State College for our wrestling team, which was actually a national team at the time. He came out of a junior college. We brought him here to Adams State. Not only did he receive his bachelor's, but also his master's. After leaving Adams State, he went on and started coaching. And there's more information, too, about Jim in the A-Stater. We like to send out the A-Stater so that you have an opportunity to know a little bit more about our award winners, of course, because we can't share all of it just in one evening up here. So Jim has a very successful career as he has worked, like I said, after coaching. He started to work in the medical technology field. And I was going to share a whole bunch of this, and I realized I should have taken an additional class in Adams State on medical terminology, because some of these words are really long. But one of the things that, going back, is Jim was a co-creator of a BIS, which is a bioimpedance spectroscope, correct? Spectroscopy. I'm going to refer to it as the BIS, okay? So Jim was one of the co-creators of the BIS in the early 90s through the company Zytron. And what this medical technology does is actually evaluates the amount of fluid in the cells. And it was really interesting to read the article that how this is used now in dialysis, in liver, kidney, cardiac disease, and all the different things. This has really been a step for the medical technology to move on and use this different, this technology. As I go through, though, we talk about the success of our alumni in their careers, but there's also another side to our award winners. And that's the side of them as the family and outside of work. Now, Jim is all the way from San Diego area here, and unfortunately, due to the distance, his family was not able to join us tonight. But they sent me some information and asked me to read it on their behalf. So I want to take an opportunity to do that. Jim, this is from your sister, Ann. And this is some good stuff. I wish I would have known this first. We would have seen this in the A-Stater. She says, I don't really remember when my baby brother was born, but I do remember how sick he was when he was little. I watched as Mom and Dad would steam up the bathroom, hold him in their arms, and shut the door. Back then, I didn't really know what was happening, but it was scary. Now he is growing, but he will always be my baby brother, and I will always call him Jimmy. Wished I would have known that, too. Somehow, when he was sick, it created an emotional bond that to this day is shared only between the two of us. It was the same emotional bond that had me saving my school bus money and lunch money. Instead, I walked 5 miles to school and back and only had a glazed donut for lunch in the cafeteria. When I reached home, I took Jimmy down to the barber shop 2 or 3 times a week. Outside, they had a mechanical horse with saddle, reins, and a real mane and tail. All the nickels that I had saved, I gave Jimmy so he could ride 3 or 4 times. It was the best part of my day. It was the same bond that I felt when he would be in trouble. I would defend Jimmy until I became the one to be punished. He did no wrong in my eyes. As he grew a bit older, he doubled as an experiment for me and our older brother, Bill. Jimmy loved his red tricycle. We had a 2-level backyard, and Dad had poured a cement ramp instead of steps. I don't know who had the idea, probably Jimmy, but we pushed Jimmy up to the top of the ramp, tied a short rope to the seat, and then pushed him down to see what would happen. When the short rope stopped the tricycle, well, we found out. Jimmy's tricycle stopped, but he was thrown about 4 feet into the side of the house. He lost 2 teeth, face scraped, and a bloody nose. Strange, I have no recollection of what happened to Bill and myself. I should have stuck with the mechanical horse. One more quick story. August 1966. How about his dedication and attention to me when I was pregnant with my first baby? Jimmy was so excited he gave me back and foot rubs and helped me open baby gifts that arrived in the mail. When the time came, he was up all night with me and timing the labor pains for me. Jimmy came with my parents to the hospital, expecting to stay with me all the while. Well, 46 years ago, that was unheard of. Jimmy was beyond hurt. He didn't understand when I arrived home with my baby girl. Jimmy was now an uncle, and he didn't want to leave to go to school. He didn't want to miss anything, nor did he like it when she was sleeping. He loved her so very much. So many stories, so little time. I'm beyond words to express how proud I am of my baby brother, Jimmy. One other thing I want to share about Jim is Jim has 2 wonderful children, 2 twins, and each of them sent me some remarks to read. So I want to start off with first his son, William, age 13. And I was hoping that they were going to be here today, but with the distance, I'm so proud of these kids for writing this and sending it to me. It starts off, let me start off by saying that my dad is a great person, a great role model, and a great dad. I know that my dad will always be there for me no matter how many times I disobey him or don't do my chores. I will always remember the sometimes boring lessons that he teaches me, which have made me the person I am today. My father loves to get up in the morning and just think. So by the time I get up and come down for breakfast, my dad is asking me questions and trying to provoke a meaningful and interesting conversation while I'm basically still asleep. I listen to him because I know that he needs to get all of his thoughts out, and I guess I'm the perfect person. When my sister and I were young, we would lie in bed listening to the stories that he would tell, including some of his childhood stories. The most recent and beneficial thing to change his quality of life was getting both of his hips completely restored. We would play catch with him, and when he had to pick up a ball, he would have to hold on to something just to reach all the way to the ground. After getting his hips renewed, he is a different person. We can now kayak, play sports, and he can sleep comfortably. Now that he is back in motion, he likes to be called Wolverine because of his quick reflexes and speed. Either way, he is my superhero in my mind and an awesome dad. I will always love him, and I know that he will always love me. And finally, I have a letter from Sophia, age 13. Dad, I am really proud of you. You have studied in school and done so well in life, and I am so happy that all of it is paid off. You truly deserve this. Every time I accomplish something, you were always there for me, and now I will do the same for you. I am so proud, and you bring back so many funny memories. I am so happy you are receiving this award. You just got this. I love you so much. So like I said, we have a lot of wonderful things about Jim's career in the program, in the A-Stater, and now you get to see the other side, the family side of him. And that's why our Outstanding Alumni Award is so important, because these are people that are all-around wonderful people in all aspects of their life. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Dr. Matthie, would you please come forward to the podium, please? We'd like to present this plaque to Dr. Matthie, the man of many names, as we know tonight. Jimmy, from Wolverine to Jimmy to Logan. So we're excited to present this plaque, the 2012 Outstanding Alumnus, to him. I'd like to tell him congratulations.
Well, that's a tough thing to follow here. To kind of lighten it up a little bit, I was asking everybody if this is a tough crowd or not, so take it easy on me. But to start out, Susan Oringdulph, I asked if Dr. Svaldi here is it Dr. Svaldi? And she goes, yes, he's a professor of speech. And I said, did you really have to tell me as soon as I'm about ready to get up here? Daddy's taking notes on me. So anyway, I won't spend a whole lot of time. I just want to say, I was at a restaurant at this brewery last night, and there was 2 graduates there. One had just graduated in creative writing. The young kids fired up. They got a summer job, knock on wood. And the other kid was an All-American 400-meter guy here at Adams State, and they were young, fired-up kids, and it was kind of inspiring for me because, it meant a lot to me. I know I have 5 minutes or less here, so I'll be careful. That all the nice things that are said, my older brother, who was always so competitive with me, really said some funny things, and when I asked him would he say some few words, and his opening round was, "I'm really busy right now. You should be very proud of this. It's quite an honor. I'm really busy now, but if I find some time, I'll be happy to write something. I assume you don't want me to mention the bedwetting, being afraid of the dark, almost blanking yourself, or the blank I gave you." Don't worry, Jim. I'm sure I could come up with something you want me to tell him about. When do you need to have it by? Well, that one was pretty much ejected from the get-go. So, and then I have to say, there's a whole bunch of people that wouldn't write such nice notes, and I think that's indicative to any career that you attempt to strive to do something. I think, what was it? Victor Hugo used the terminology that you have enemies. Well, that's the story of anybody that's done anything. So I assure you, not all the stories are as wonderful as you've heard, but I love my children, and those are very nice. To just blow through a couple things, I can't disconnect wrestling from my life, and that is because I was a pretty good high school wrestler, but I was a lost soul, and after a couple of years, I found my way back at a junior college and asked the coach if I could come out for the wrestling team. And that, the camaraderie and whatever that entailed, I did pretty good, and so that changed my life. And Adams State rewarded me for that by recruiting me and giving me a scholarship here at Adams State. The experience here at Adams, this was a tough place. We were national champs. I came here to win. Losing in Alamosa is not a nice experience because everybody, not only do they know you lost, they know the score. So the first year was pretty tough. Coach Ulrich was my coach. We had some very tough people on this team, and it was a step up. And I had realized that in San Diego, I had older brothers that were wrestlers, and they paved the way for me. Everybody knew me. My dad was a sports star at San Diego State. He was principal at San Diego High School. And coming here was the first time I'd ever been alone. And, some of these big, tough bull riders around here weren't all that impressed with my fame in California, right? So anyway, it was tough. I like to think I responded. I continued wrestling, mainly because I had nothing else to do. So I worked hard, and I did judo and a lot of other things. Fought some pretty tough guys in my day. Joe Vigil, inspirational to me. He helped me connect the dots. Adams really helped me connect the dots between effort and result, and the need for self-confidence. Because if you don't have it, you're gonna wither away. So with that said, I would be most proud of the fact that was able to transfer some of the lessons I learned of hard work and dedication towards my life. And I assure you, the investors in my life would second that notion, because they many times called me the most difficult person that they had ever met in their life. So to give you, you know, the nice thing, they say when you're getting older, you can say anything you want, do anything you want. Well, I'll give you an idea of stress. And everybody claims, my favorite story is to follow your dreams, be passionate, and all that kind of thing. Well, here's an experience of mine, is when someone gives you money, it no longer is a theory. And so now you got to do something about it, right? And so, you know, that's pretty scary, because somebody pays. People don't lose money very easy. But I was fired and rehired by the company, my dream job, the company I founded, 3 times. So I'll let your imagination deal with that one. But Adams is a special place, and I can only relate to you in terms from a sports standpoint, because when I was here, you know, we were the all sports champion, I think, and the place was crawling with high performers. And Adams is small enough and intimate enough that everybody was exposed to how performers think, what their passions are like, and they operate different. High performers don't operate the same. And so I think that's a real niche that Adams has. And it could be any field, but it happens to be sports. They've found a good niche. Don't let that go. We got to support that, because that has great transfer to everybody that comes and has that experience here, and it certainly did for me. That's about it. Okay, so you know, Adams State rewarded me in 1976 for my hard work, and then they're doing it again in 2012. And so I say thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Matthie. Our next award is the Billy Adams Award. We'll now turn some time over to Dr. Svaldi so that he can share with us a little bit about this person that's going to receive this award tonight.
The Billy Adams Award is the highest honor bestowed by Adams State University. And actually, I type Adams State College, so I haven't got used to it yet either. It signifies special recognition for extraordinary contributions to Adams State. Its spirit is the spirit of Billy Adams, the visionary founder of Adams State. Mr. Adams was 17 years old when he arrived in Alamosa, and he was a cowboy who became a rancher. By the time he was 20, he was elected mayor of Alamosa and went on to a long career in the state legislature and served 3 terms as governor of the state of Colorado. He was not a learned man, but he believed in education, and he knew that the best way to ensure good schools in the valley was to build a teacher's college. For years, he labored and worked to accomplish this dream. The only piece of legislation that he ever carried was the legislation that established Adams State Normal School in 1921. His dream was realized, and the center portion of Richardson Hall was constructed. Rob Oringdulph represents the spirit of Billy Adams through his long-time commitment to Adams State University. I think it's fitting that he is the first Billy Adams recipient recognized by Adams State University. Rob and the San Luis Valley Republicans came to ASU's assistance last year when our name change legislation was stuck in committee. Of course, Governor Adams was a Democrat, but I think he would happily join us in congratulating Rob. Rob is indeed patient, kind, considerate, and altruistic, and his history with Adams State goes back to his grandmother, who completed her degree in 1930. Rob graduated from Adams in 1971, and 3 of his 6 children, I think I had 2 of them in class, also hold degrees from Adams. Rob has served as board member for the Alumni Association for over 14 years. I've had the pleasure of serving with Rob on both the AURA board, which is the Alamosa Uptown River Association, and the board for the Boys and Girls Club of the San Luis Valley. His dedication to his community and quiet, effective, and consistent leadership and service is outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to recognize my friend and ASU alum, Mr. Rob Oringdulph, as the 2012 Billy Adams Award recipient.
Thank you, Dr. Svaldi. Now we would like to hear from Wendy Kelson and Sean Oringdulph to hear a few comments about their father. If they would please come forward.
What a joyful evening. I am so grateful to be here tonight with my father, with my family and friends and fellow alumni of Adams State. When my dad was just a little guy, he got lost at the YMCA, and he found himself in the women's locker room. Once he was spotted, there were shrieks and screams and women grabbing for towels and a little bit of chaos. My dad watched in amazement, and he asked this question, "What, hasn't anybody seen a little boy before?" Now, in all honesty, this didn't really happen to my dad. But tonight I do want to share a few true stories of how my father has influenced me over the years, and how he exemplifies the characteristics that warrant the prestigious Billy Adams Award. Specifically, he has influenced me and helped me develop a sense of community stewardship, self-confidence, self-reliance, and the rewards of hard work to obtain an education. As a youth, I remember my dad was always involved in a good cause, and he regularly volunteered us to volunteer. You may know my father as Rob, but we knew him as Dad the Dictator. Trust me, we did what he said. One such project that he volunteered us for was adopting the highway to clean up. It was a 5-mile stretch of Highway 285, and I thought it was the longest 5 miles in the state. Picking up trash that wasn't mine seemed more like a punishment than a privilege. The project taught me not to litter, and it taught me to respect the community where we were living. But the most important lesson came from my dad, as he set the example of being a good steward over the beautiful San Luis Valley. Thankfully, Dad the Dictator had a softer side. My siblings and I had a very happy childhood. Because my dad understood that divine intervention was needed to raise a family. He supports the idea that happiness in family life is most likely to be achieved through the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ. Successful marriages and families are established and maintained on principles of faith, prayer, repentance, forgiveness, respect, love, compassion, work, and wholesome recreational activities. My dad strived to teach these attributes in our home. My fondest memories of recreational activities were going to amusement parks. There was nothing more thrilling than riding a roller coaster with my dad. And even though I was scared to death, I know that with my dad near, he helped keep the fear from running down my leg. His supportive presence gave me courage to face my fears. And facing my fears, I developed self-confidence, and I knew I was capable of doing hard things. Self-confidence came in handy as I grew to be a teenager. Like Billy Adams, my dad helped instill creative learning opportunities for us and everyday experiences. He knew when to stay and when to leave us alone to figure out a task by ourselves. My older sister was just a few weeks away from obtaining her, from getting her driver's license, and I currently had my driver's permit. And my dad decided to give us a version of his driving test, which involved an empty parking lot, a tire iron, a spare tire, and some elbow grease. He made sure the emergency brake was on the car, showed us where the tools to change the tire were in the trunk, and then he left us alone. It took some time, but we learned how to change that tire. This was my first real experience with being self-reliant. My dad really taught us the nuts and bolts of most problems can be tackled with ingenuity and persistence. Finally, my father encouraged hard work when it came to education. Nothing compared with the smile on my dad's face when we brought home a report card with high marks. My dad was good at math, and I wanted to be just like him. I would try to work out a problem as best I could, but somehow I just couldn't figure it out. And I'd wait for my dad to come home, and he would sit me down and help me figure it out for myself. And he would never give me the answer, which I protested because I couldn't understand why. He knew what it was, and I didn't. But I think his firmness made all the difference. My dad taught me how to work hard and be persistent, not just in homework, but in all aspects of my life. His influence inspired me to attend Adams State. Colin Powell said, "I have inspired more people by example, and I do that by giving them a sense of purpose, that what they do is important." My father has set a wonderful example for me to follow and given me values to lead and influence others. I'm sure many in this room have felt that influence in their life. Everyone here tonight has the opportunity to influence others. That influence can be positive or it can be negative. And the people that we influence don't necessarily have to be our family. As educators, you can influence each student that enters your classroom. As leaders in the community, you are responsible to represent the greater good of the whole. And as parents, we understand that it takes a village to raise a family. May you always strive to be a powerful force for good throughout your life. Robert Oringdulph, you have been a positive influence to the lives of many in this room. Dad, we honor you, we thank you, and we love you.
That was a really good speech. I'm related to her. When my dad asked me to give this speech, one, I was very thrilled and very ecstatic that my dad was receiving this award. And he didn't really say what to speak on, and so I thought of some memories of my dad. And the earliest memory I can think of is when I was little. I grew up in Banquet for a few years. And my dad worked here in Alamosa. And so we would come up here in Alamosa and do some grocery shopping, or we would meet up with my dad after dinner and whatnot. And then we would, he'd have his truck and my mom would have her car. And my mom would ask, well, who wants to go home with Dad? And I was always the first one to say yes. And I remember many times riding home with my dad and just asking him questions. And I guarantee they were the most annoying questions ever. And to this day, I still actually, for a while, believe that the moon was still made of cheese, because he did tell me that. And I remember asking about the mountains and about the sky and about animals. And my dad was extremely patient with me. I have a son who's 5 years old who asks a question every 2 seconds. And there are times that I think, oh man, another question. But I never got that from my dad. Always answer my question. And it made me think of another instance when we were up here. My dad had got done with work and we had dinner, and then we were going to the movie at the Rialto, back when it was a movie theater. And my dad loves movies. He likes to, before he actually would pay, now he actually pays to go take a nap in them, but that's okay. He actually watched the movies at one point. And the whole family was there, we were watching the movie, and I had a really bad stomachache, and so I had to go to the bathroom, and I was there, and I hurt so bad, and my dad ended up coming in there and sitting with me. And I remember saying, Dad, I just don't feel good. I don't feel good. And he said, okay. And he grabbed me. I think he told my mom what was going on. And he grabbed me and took me home. He sacrificed his time at the movies with everybody else to take me home. And honestly, I think I started feeling better when I got in the truck, but I didn't tell him. Just more time to spend with my dad. But in that instance, looking back as an adult and seeing that I have my own children, I see that my dad had a lot of selflessness. He taught me that, and a lot of times, my dad, with his actions, taught me those things, and I'm sure many of you who do know him know that it is his actions that speak louder than his words. I can't say that all the time. Actually, I remember an instance when I was in high school, and it was prom, I believe, my junior year, and got home from prom. After prom, we got home about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I laid down on the couch, and I was getting ready to go to sleep, and there's my dad, 6 o'clock in the morning. Time to get up, got to go to church. I just got home from prom, Dad, about an hour ago, and he said, "You play, you pay." Okay, Dad. All right, I played. And from then on, I actually kept that in mind. You know, being a student here at Adams State, you know, you have kind of the more freedom. You're not at home all the time, parents not bothering you. But you have to keep in mind, if you play, you pay. And that stayed in my mind all the time. And as a matter of fact, I told my son that the other day, and I don't think he liked it either. My dad is very outgoing, and in the LDS church, they have a thing called home teaching. And from the time I was in middle school until high school, I would go with my dad, and he would visit these families, some who were less active, some who were active. But my dad was religious to go and visit these families every month. And you could always count on my dad, usually the beginning of the month, to say, "Sean, you got the lesson, you're going to give the message this month." Or saying, "All right, get your stuff, Sunday we're going to so-and-so's house." And as a young adult, thinking, "Man, Sunday, that's my day off, I don't want to do anything." But my dad taught me that you need to have responsibility. And that was a part of our lifestyle. And I look back and I think of what a great blessing it was to see my dad in that capacity, to be a loving, caring individual, whether it was a friend or family. And he taught me many things, and not necessarily, like I said, vocally, but by his actions. My next story actually was told me by my wife. She worked for Upward Bound in Pueblo, and that's where we're from. And this lady came up to my wife, Larissa, and said, "Your last name is Oringdulph?" And she said, "Yes." She goes, "Are you related to Robert Oringdulph?" And she goes, "Yeah, he's my father-in-law." And she goes, "He is by far the best man I've ever talked to." She had never actually physically met him before. She had called to Adams State a couple times, and for some reason they referred her to my dad. And she would talk to him, and he'd be extremely helpful to her. And she told my wife, "He is just the best man I've ever talked to. I would love to meet him in person." And when she told me that, we actually told my dad this story. And as I thought about that, it shows what Adams State has done for my father, and for the kind of person that he's become, and why this award, the Billy Adams Award, is, you know, being presented and given to him. He is a great man, and I know that most of you who know him can agree with me that his qualities of being humble and charitable and just a great friend and loyalty, especially to Adams State. I know he gives up a lot of his time to help out in any way, in any capacity, whether it's homecoming week, giving out T-shirts, or whether it's putting together a float, you know, on Main Street. I know that he is very deserving of this award, and I thank him for asking me to speak. I thank all of you for being here and supporting him. Thank you.
Rob, please accept this as a Billy Adams Award for 2012.
Well, I can tell you I'm indeed humbled and very honored by this award that the college has given me this evening. Again, what a great honor it is. Adams State's been a big part of my life, and it's made me certainly what I am today. A kid from Mesita who lived out in the prairie, has been given a great number of opportunities because of my experience here at Adams State. I'd like to tell you a story this evening that I think exemplifies Billy Adams. As I say, I grew up in Mesita, which is south and west of San Luis. Above San Luis, there are a lot of folks that live up there who have 20-acre farms, 40-acre farms, some 80-acre farms. They're not real big, but they've been in the family in most cases for many, many years. And one day, a fellow was out kind of examining his alfalfa and his garden, and one of our friends from Texas came driving by. And so he stopped and he got out and engaged this gentleman in conversation. And he said, "So how big is your place here?" And the fellow says, "Well, the trees over here, the canal to the south, the fence line to the west, and the road here." And the Texan said, "You know," he says, "my place in Texas, I get in my truck and it takes me all day to drive from one end to the other." The guy says, "Yeah, I had a truck like that too." Dr. Svaldi and Adams State, thank you so much for this great honor to receive this award, the highest award that Adams State can give, and particularly to be the first one to receive it from Adams State University. I'm humbled, I'm honored, and thank you so much.
That will conclude our program for tonight. Again, we're very grateful for all that have been able to attend this, and for the award winners that were here tonight to receive their awards. What a great program it was, and the great stories that we've heard and felt tonight. Just the final remarks. Be sure to attend the jazz concert in Richardson Hall, or there's also a comedy improv in the theater building tonight. Tomorrow's activities will begin with a 5K run at 8 a.m. at Cole Park. At 10 o'clock, please join us for a parade downtown. All alumni are welcome to walk along with us and ride that float. So we'll hope to see everybody there. Hopefully it won't be snowing by then. We'll start that at the east end of Main Street and Ladue, and the parade will go up to TSJC. At 11 o'clock, join us for the tailgating party on the North Campus Green outside of the stadium. There will be some inflatables there for the kids to play on. At 1 o'clock is the football game. The Grizzlies will be going up against New Mexico Highlands, so it should be a win, I think. And then again, we encourage everybody to come back next year for Homecoming 2013, which will be October 11th and 12th. So please mark your calendars. Thank you very much, and the meeting is adjourned.